Donald Trump's VP, JD Vance, is at it again. And if you go back and look at his post, it's like a trail of throwing Donald Trump under the bus. I want to share for you what's been unearthed from JD Vance's past posts over just the past 24 hours. I'm not even going to use this video to talk about how JD Vance previously made posts about women and dolphins and showed his Google search history, which let's just say is weird would be a understatement. We're not going to talk about how JD Vance has had to deny relations with couches. We are not going to even talk about what JD Vance said about childless cat ladies, even though we've covered that over and over. I'm just going to talk about new things that have been unearthed in the past 24 hours, like this one right here. JD Vance posts September 4th, 2021. I think about this column about once a month. What are you thinking about there, JD? You're thinking about Jeffrey Epstein at least once a month? Remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a literal child sex trafficking ring, and then that the guy died mysteriously in jail, and now we just don't talk about it? You don't talk about it, JD, you fraud and phony who changes your name and personality and entire identity every 3 to 5 years. We talk about it here at the MeidasTouch Network because you know who was on that list? Donald J. Trump. Donald was on that list over and over again. Guess what, JD? You know what Donald said about Jeffrey Epstein? He told New York Magazine that Jeffrey Epstein was a great guy who likes women on the younger side. What he meant to say was girls, because Donald Trump is disgusting. You know where else Donald Trump was? On Epstein's plane. You know how we know that? Because he's on Epstein's list. We have the list. We reported on it. He's on Epstein's flight log over and over again. Guess what? Epstein's on Donald Trump's flight log, bringing women, or I should say girls, of indeterminate age onto Donald Trump's plane. Guess what else we learned, or we know? That Donald Trump wished the person who trafficked for Jeffrey Epstein well. Donald Trump said, Ghislaine Maxwell, I wish you well. That's what he said about her when she was on trial for trafficking, not condemning her. He goes, I wish her well. And guess where she trafficked from? Mar-a-Lago. Guess where she found girls like Virginia Giuffre? You know where they were working? They were working at Mar-a-Lago. And they used to be homeless. They then worked at Mar-a-Lago. And then Ghislaine Maxwell would go to Mar-a-Lago, find them, and bring them to Jeffrey Epstein. You know how we know that? Because Trump's on the list. This has all been out there. This is public record. I know, JD, you're used to just changing your personality and identity whenever you want to, and I know the corporate media doesn't report on this, but guess what? There's a reason why the MeidasTouch Network has gotten 23 million views over the past 48 hours, and more people watch us on YouTube than Fox and MSNBC and CNN. It's because we report on the facts. And what I do, JD, because maybe you're watching this for the first time, you know what I do? I pull out the transcripts. I pull out the videos. And you know what I say? I say the clip. So here's Donald Trump wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well. Play the clip.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and so a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
Mr. President.
You want me to show you some other ones, JD? How about where Donald Trump said one of the reasons he owns beauty pageants is so that he can inspect the bodies of naked girls without their consent? You want to hear that audio? Here it is, JD. Play the clip.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything
a doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like.
Want to hear this other audio, JD, where Donald Trump, if your name is even JD, I should call you Shady, where Donald Trump says that Lindsay Lohan, when she was, I think she was 17 or had just turned 18, he said that he fantasized about having sex with her because of her mental health issues. He said would have made her better to sleep with. You want me to play that tape, or can you not handle these facts, Shady? Here, play this clip.
What do you think of Lindsay Lohan, Howard?
I think she's hot.
There's something there, right?
Yes.
But you have to like freckles. I've seen a close-up of her chest.
Yes.
And a lot of freckles. Are you into freckles?
If the father's a wreck like the way he is,
Right.
you imagine the sex with this troubled...
Yeah, you're probably right. She's probably deeply troubled and therefore great in bed.
Back in the day...
How come the deeply troubled women,
Yes.
deeply, deeply troubled,
Right.
they're always the best in bed? If for some reason what I said is true, I mean, they're just unbelievable.
I can tell from the...
You don't want to be with them for the long term, but for the short term, there's nothing.
I think you can handle these facts, Shady. I think you know exactly what's going on here. You want me to share the story about when Donald Trump was hosting the Look of the Year competition and brought girls who look like this, let me show you the photo, to his events and on yachts where men who were old enough to be their grandfather grinded on them? You know how we know that? It's been reported. You know who's posted photos of himself even recently with the girls? Donald Trump on his social media platform. JD, you want me to give you more facts here? Because you seem to be fixated on this, because I could keep on going over and over again. But JD, let me just share with the audience, because they've watched my other videos on Epstein and all of the connections with Donald Trump. You want me to, why don't I show them what else we've unearthed in the past 24 hours of yours? How about this one, where JD Vance says on September 14, 2021, the cat ladies, man, they must be stopped. And it's in response to a Hill article that says, poll finds significant percentage fear having children because of the climate crisis. That's what you say, JD. How about when you said this to a person on Twitter? This is one of my favorite trolls. She describes herself as a cat girl, puts her PhD in her bio, and is very clearly pleased with the life decision she's made. Keep fighting the good fight, Dr. Charlotte. That's what you said. Hey, JD, here's another clip that we've unearthed from your interview recently with Megyn Kelly. When you're asked to respond to white supremacist attacks on your Indian American wife, your response is not to defend her, but to say, well, obviously she's not a white person. Past 24 hours, play this clip.
Look, I love my wife so much. I love her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've been attacked by some white supremacists over that. But I love Usha. She's such a good mom.
How about monkey testicles, JD? You know what I'm talking about? The monkey testicles? Yeah, because you funded research where they burn monkey testicles. Who does that? Oh, maybe the person, JD, who searches dolphin sex on Google and then posts their Google results on social media like 5 months ago. This is some weird stuff. Or how about this, JD? Another clip that was unearthed recently where you defended Marjorie Taylor Greene promoting QAnon and 9/11 conspiracy theories. Great work, JD. Great work, JD. Here, play the clip.
It's funny because I think we're in her district right now, but I'm regularly asked by donors in Ohio whether I'd be willing to denounce MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congressman from, if not this part of Georgia, at least close by. And I would say, why? Why do you want me to denounce this person? Well, she believes these crazy things. Who cares? Believing crazy things is not the mark of whether somebody should be rejected. Believing important truths should be the mark of whether we accept somebody. And if they believe some crazy things on the side, that's fine. We need to be okay with non-conventional people.
Or you want to be a tough guy, JD? You want to put the hillbilly tough guy act? You want to talk about your diet Mountain Dew, huh? Is that what you want to talk about, JD? Because you are a fraud and a phony? Here's JD doing his WWE cosplay shtick and saying we need to be ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. We need to be ruthless. Dude, you are a coward. You are a phony and a fraud. The whole way you became famous was pretending you were like an anti-Trumper hillbilly. You made it all up, but ruthless, JD, ruthless. Here, play the clip.
I think that the thing that we have to take away from the last 10 years is that we really need to be really ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. I was talking about this with someone earlier today, where you remember there was some threat that congressional or Senate Republicans made. If you get rid of the filibuster, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And you actually look at it, it's like, oh, this is not that interesting.
We're going to actually deliver on our promises that we've made for decades.
Right?
Sounds
this is the threat. If you get rid of the filibuster, we're going to do this stuff. Like, they're talking about expanding the Supreme Court. They're talking about adding, 2 senators from heavily Democratic places.
You get rid of the filibuster, we'll actually deliver on defunding.
We'll do what the nation's been telling us that we don't want to do.
Yeah. So I think, look, I am a cynic about this and maybe even a little bit of a pessimist, but I think the challenge confronting American conservatives is that we have lost every major powerful institution in the country, except for maybe churches and religious institutions, which of course are weaker now than they've ever been. We have lost big business. We've lost finance. We've lost the culture. We've lost the academy. And if we're going to actually really affect real change in the country, it will require us completely replacing the existing ruling class with another ruling class. I say that knowing and hearing myself, it sounds really hard. It is really hard, but I don't think there's like a detent with these people. I don't think there's sort of a compromise that we're going to come with the people who currently actually control the country. Unless we overthrow them in some way, we're going to keep losing. And that's the challenge. Now,
This guy's a fraud and a phony, and all of that I just shared with you, that was just unearthed. Perhaps it was hiding under JD's couch in the past 24 hours. I could go on to all the other stuff that's out there, but let me just leave you with that, JD. And of course, I can play the videotape of Donald Trump's deposition where he talks about, because he's rich and famous, how he says that permits him to sexually assault women. I could play you that tape, JD. I can show you videotapes where Donald Trump calls the porn star he had sex with a horse face at his rallies. I could play that clip over and over again. I could go on and I could talk about the testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell's trial where a 14-year-old girl testified that Jeffrey Epstein introduced her to Donald Trump. I could go on and on and on, JD, Shady, but I think you get the point. And right now, the point is that people need to call you out, and people are rallying behind Vice President Kamala Harris because of her support for our democracy. And I just think about you, man. I think about what it must be like for you just to even go to sleep and wake up every morning, Shady. It must be awful being a total fraud the way you are. Anyway, the Meidas Mighty are going to keep calling you out. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.